In today's video, I review Mark Tassie's video, which represents everything that I detest about the raw vegan community. Roll the titles.
For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before I jump into the video, just a quick reminder that I'm now offering the SIBO organic acid stool tests and consult via my website. So if you have any health or digestive problems, then consider taking these tests, as they will provide a lot of very detailed information upon which you can start making informed decisions and then start getting your health back on track. And on that bombshell, to the video. So just to give you some background, in the beginning part of this video, Mark is talking about a chap called John Stearns, who has a small YouTube channel that is called Mangotarian. So John Stearns, I think, was raw vegan and is now eating some cooked food in his diet. So let's see what Mark had to say.
You know, generally, I would say if somebody's losing that much weight, then possibly they need to transition more slowly. Or perhaps they can rebuild themselves and then do a prolonged supervised water fast. That would get them more in a position to be able to live on a fruit-based diet successfully.
So firstly, I just want to say, if someone wants to follow a raw vegan or fruit-based diet, then fine. As long as they are healthy and getting sufficient calories and nutrition, then absolutely great. I personally think it's an incredibly difficult diet to follow longer term, and it certainly wouldn't be my recommendation based on the simple fact that there is zero credible evidence anywhere that these types of diets offer any advantages over a whole foods plant-based diet. Now, coming back to what Mark was saying, there are many reasons why a person would be losing weight. The obvious thing would be that they are not consuming enough calories based on their metabolic profile. But aside from this, there are a plethora of gut issues that can cause weight loss, ranging from carbohydrate or fat malabsorption issues, all the way through to C. diff infections or SIBO infections. And for the vast majority of these types of problems, water fasting would be ineffective at resolving them. Now, I'm not sure what Mark is going on about exactly when he says a person should rebuild themselves and then consider a supervised water fast when transitioning to a raw vegan fruit-based diet. So let's continue to see what he has to say on the matter.
The other thing I want to say is, while I do talk about fruit, I am not really recommending that people follow a 100% fruit diet. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is that the diet should be fruit-based, meaning that most of the calories should come from fruit. 90 to 100% of the calories of the diet should come from fruit.
So let me just repeat my earlier statement. So there is zero evidence anywhere that following a fruit-based raw vegan diet will offer you any advantage over a whole foods cooked-based diet. So Mark is doing nothing more than giving his opinion that is not based on science, nor coming from a background of nutritional or medical training.
Now, some people do the raw vegan thing overnight, and there's nothing wrong with that. Usually or often you might need to include water fasting, because the body is just not going to be able to absorb, or in many cases, well, most cases, the body is not going to be able to absorb everything that it needs from fruit in the beginning.
So he just said that in most cases, the body is just not going to be able to absorb what it needs when a person is transitioning to a fruit-based diet. Okay, so let me let you into a little secret, Mark. So fruits are some of the easiest foods to digest and absorb. They are predominantly made up of simple sugars that are absorbed higher up in the small intestines with little problems, unless you have a gut disease or disorder. Why would you need to water fast if the foods that you are consuming are very easy to digest in the first place? Fruit requires very little digestive effort in the form of stomach acid or digestive enzymes, etc. His comments make zero sense.
As I said, within the first 7 to 10 years. And this is the reason why, and we said this over and over again on the channel, that Christina from Fully Raw Christina, this is why at around the 8-year mark, she started to fill out, and she couldn't understand why she gained weight. And she was listening to all these people with little experience, yet huge channels, but not very much experience, not a fraction of the experience that I have in this, for instance.
So more ridiculous statements. So experience and the ability to give sound nutritional advice is not based on views, likes or subscribers. It is based foundationally on following a rigorous academic program and then following rigorous training for the entirety of your career. Can you imagine, with all that is going on in the world at the moment, if the decision making was left down to people because they had a few subscribers or they watched a documentary on pathogens?
Now, John Stearns thinks that because he starved himself for, 3 or 4 years that he's done. Well, he actually hasn't starved himself, and he may not have really cleaned out much of that hardened material, which is in the small intestines in most people. I've been doing this for years, and I don't think I've cleaned it all out.
So this right here is everything that is wrong with the internet today. Hardened material. What the absolute hell are you going on about? Mark, do a colonoscopy or scan, and unless you have a gut disorder or disease, there will be zero physiological defects in the gut. But let's just humour ourselves here. Let's just say there was some magical hardened material in the gut, Mark. The fact that you have been doing something for years, as you say, and it is still not gone, well, that would lead me to believe that you don't have the faintest idea what you are talking about. C. diff infections, H. pylori infections, candida issues, all of these types of issues, if dealt with correctly, can be dealt with in a very short space of time. So Mark, please tell me, what is the name of this hardened material that despite years of trying, you still can't get rid of?
The only thing that will get it out, most definitely will get it out, is a properly conducted, prolonged water fast of at least 3 weeks.
No, please do not listen to this absolute tripe. If you had any mystical hardened material, as Mark calls it, the way you get rid of toxins out of the body is ensuring that the body is methylating correctly, and also that your liver is going through stage 1 and 2 detoxification. For these processes to occur in the body, you need raw materials from your diet in the form of things like sulfur-rich foods. Water fasting for 3 weeks and nearly killing yourself will not help with methylation or detoxification.
There's not going to be an easy way in this. Now, over the years, and I've talked about this in my video on hydration, my skin no longer cracks in the dry winters of Los Angeles, which means, yeah, I am getting more hydrated, which means over the years I have been moving this stuff out. But I would be surprised if it's all out.
I actually don't even know what to say anymore.
And I really don't think it is all out. Somebody who's only been doing this thing for 3 or 4 years, there's no way. There's no way. They haven't even gotten to the 7 to 10 year period, which is essential in this path, by the way, unless you are doing prolonged fasts like Lauren Lockman did, for instance.
Can anyone please explain to me in the comments below why the raw vegan diet appears to be a magnet for these type of crackpot ideas, constantly chasing this pursuit of perfect health that doesn't exist?
It's going to take at least 7 to 10 years before you can even begin to maintain for most people.
Follow this type of advice for 7 to 10 years and there will literally be nothing left of you.
So what to do? Well, you can remain a skinny man. I didn't do that. I mean, I went back to cooked food. Not because I really wanted to, just because I was addicted to it. And for me, it was a process, but I did get really skinny.
So now cooked food is an addiction. Please enlighten us, Mark. How does cooking a whole plant-based food cause an addiction?
And there was a time where I was eating 5 or 6 avocados in a day just to try to keep my weight up. It's not something that you really want to do, though, but it did kind of help me to stop the rapid weight loss. But at some point you find around that 7 to 10 year period, if you haven't done a lot of prolonged fasting, you'll find that in that 7 to 10 year period, that's when it starts to happen.
Mark, I mean this from a genuine place of caring. It sounds like you have been battling with food issues for a while. These are unhealthy eating patterns, and encouraging people to follow your path is not good. Please reach out to someone with experience in this area.
So what to do? Let me get back to that. Well, you can either just, stick it out and be skinny for 7 or 8 years. You can do the prolonged supervised fasts, which will get you there much more quickly.
Absolutely do none of these.
Or Or, and this is probably going to be the practical thing for most people, it's not that fasting isn't practical, but you have to put things on hold. You have to rest while you're fasting if you really want it to work. You can transition more slowly, which is essentially what I did. I did it by eliminating things and by replacing things with things that were less detrimental.
So you were eating whole foods, so barring removing things like pesticides, how much more perfect can your diet be?
So basically, let's look at it. You've cut down on salt, you've eliminated oil, you've got rid of wheat and animal products. If you're eating goat dairy, eventually you'll let that go. So now you're on a vegan diet. You're no animal products, no oil, no wheat. And if you stayed there for the rest of your life, you'd be in good shape.
So for the next 2 or 3 minutes, Mark discussed all of the things that should be pulled out of your diet when transitioning to a fruit-based diet. I'm not going to bore you with all of that, so let's just let Mark sum it up.
Okay, now, what you want to do then is be more specific about the starches that you are eating. Eventually, you probably even going to get rid of rice. Now, people go, oh, you get rid of rice? That's anorexic, that's orthorexic. The best starches that you're going to eat are going to be potatoes and millet. Potatoes and millet. Millet is very low in mucus-forming activity, where rice is mucus-forming.
Okay. If you would be in good shape, then why continue stripping more and more foods from your diet? No food would be mucus forming unless you had an underlying gut disease, of which white rice has been shown to cause 0 of these gut diseases.
Potatoes and millet. At some point you want to let the millet go. Now you're just on potatoes for your starch.
What? Now I can't have millet?
Until I gave up millet, then I just put tomato sauce on potatoes or potato wedges. You bake them. I think boiled is better than baked. I think eventually you want to give up all the baked stuff too, because there's more acrylamide on the baked stuff. So now you're down to boiled potatoes.
Boy, that sounds like a lot of fun.
And plants, steamed vegetables. I ate a lot of vegetables. At some point you want to get on the mucus-free diet, which doesn't eliminate all cooked foods. Millet and potatoes are very mucus-lean. Steamed vegetables are mucus-lean or mucus-free. So you can have steamed vegetables, cooked vegetables, baked, boiled potatoes, boiled millet, okay? Now, if you stayed on that for the rest of your life, you'd be better than 95% of the population, 99% of the population probably.
And you would also run into weight issues and deficiencies.
But if you want to take it further, now you're at the point where if you're only on potatoes and steamed vegetables, well, you can let the potatoes go and just stay with the cooked vegetables and salads and fruit.
So now we have to let potatoes go also. So despite the fact that Mark says potatoes are okay and not mucus forming, if you're in pursuit of a perfect diet, then potatoes have to go.
Now you're just doing cooked vegetables, salads, and fruit. Now you want to cut back on the salt. Eventually you'll just get rid of all the cooked stuff altogether. And that's basically how I did it.
For what purpose?
But it's a personal choice. You can do the raw thing overnight. You can do the fruit thing overnight if you want, but just realize it's going to take you some time. And get your ego out of this. Get your ego out of this, because when the ego is involved, you're not going to see the truth. You're going to delude yourself into thinking that you're something that you're not. And that's a big mistake.
So people, that's how you transition to a raw vegan diet. And I guarantee if people watching this follow this path, their health will be in the gutter before too long. So please do not follow this advice. So that's the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. And as always, remember to look after your body, because it's the only place you have to live. And I'll see you next time.